Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Top rank head honcho Bob Arum states he's ready to make the Spence Crawford fight in 2019. Let's get into it. Now, Errol Spence made some really odd remarks at the press conference of the Sean Porter-Danny Garcia fight, and let's just go over those just to refresh your memory. Now, Spence's first quote was stating this: "Me and Terence Crawford fight on different sides of the street. He just signed with ESPN. I'm with Showtime and Fox. I don't fight on ESPN. I'm a way better fighter than Terence Crawford." That was one of his first quotes. And I find that a little bit odd because, one, you say you're a better fighter than Terence Crawford, but prior to that, you say we fight on different sides of the street. So you understand when you're making a mega fight and you're making a big money fight, which Errol Spence said this is a big money fight, that you have to have sometimes different promotion companies come together, different networks, to make the fight happen. If Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight could happen, any fight can happen. That was the biggest fight in boxing history as far as financial and promotion companies and networks were concerned. They made that fight happen with the dual promotion. There's no reason that ESPN, Top Rank, Showtime, and Fox can't make this happen. Then Errol Spence made another comment about ESPN that I find hilarious because clearly he doesn't know his shit. He states, "I'm not going to fight on ESPN. The big fights will get made on Showtime and Fox." And this proves to me that Errol Spence is not in touch with reality. The vast majority of sports fans are going to be on ESPN. That's a worldwide platform, and you'll be able to get way more viewers. Now, according to DeadlineNews.com, Showtime has about 2 million subscribers. 2 million subscribers. Now, let's dig into this a little bit deeper. On the opposite end, ESPN, according to BusinessInsider.com, has over 100 million fucking subscribers. World fucking wide. That's fucking insane. So they don't have to air the fight on the ESPN Plus app or even ESPN itself. They could air the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight on pay-per-view, which is most likely what will happen. So you're not looking for 100 million pay-per-view buys because you know that's insane. But if you get 2 million pay-per-view buys, ESPN gives you the biggest platform, and it's the biggest platform for any fight to be shown or advertised on, period. That has to do with boxing. It is an enormous platform that's open to millions of fans worldwide. So first of all, you saying that you're not going to fight on ESPN, that you're not open to the possibility, is a fucking stupid move. Because even if you are a Showtime fighter, at this point, maximum exposure and money should be the top concern for you, because clearly you don't want to fight Terence Crawford right away. You're setting up roadblocks that don't need to be there. And the fact that Bob Arum came out and specifically said we can make that fight in 2019, that bothers me that you just blew that off. Then Errol Spence's potential schedule is what he stated was Mikey Garcia possibly in January, then Porter later in the year. So that means at the very tail end of 2019, you possibly may take the Crawford fight. But you didn't even mention that. You're setting no timetables, you're setting no deadlines. So we typically know that you fight about 2 times a year. So you fought twice this year, and there's not another fight on the docket for this year as of yet. Hopefully there will be. We believe you need to be a more active fighter, Errol. But at the end of the day, if that's the case, then that means you won't see Crawford until 2020. Because you're putting other fights ahead of him. So you'll fight a 135 pounder before you'll fight another world champion at 147 pounds. That's a bigger money fight. And that's guaranteed to make you a pound for pound fighter if you win. A Mikey Garcia fight doesn't do that for you because you're the naturally bigger man. Even though Mikey's a pound for pound fighter, he's moving up in weight to challenge you. That moves Mikey up the pound for pound rankings, but not Spence if he wins that fight. So let's be clear about that, because there's two different sides on this. So then you look at Terence Crawford, and him and Bob Arum basically has a position: we'll fight you in the mid to second half of 2019. Get that fight done. So that means Terence Crawford will take his mandatory, Jose Benavidez, this year, and then have one more fight the beginning of next year, and then mid to late next year, he'll fight Errol Spence in a mega fight. Errol Spence schedule, he already has 2 fights potentially lined up for 2019. What the fuck does that tell you? Then you also have to look at it like this. He tried to diss Jose Benavidez, basically said that he's not a great fighter. He has a sparring of him. That sparring that allegedly happened where he kicked Jose Benavidez's ass was way long time ago. According to Jose Benavidez, that sparring took place when he was a teenager. So what the fuck does that say about you that you're holding on to a sparring tape as a teen? They're sparring of you with Lamont Peterson as a teen, where you got your ass kicked, but that meant absolutely nothing when you fought him in the pros. Jose Benavidez is an undefeated fighter. He's a very good prospect, and he's the #1 mandatory for Terence Crawford. So where do you get off talking shit about Terence Crawford's mandatory when you fought Carlos Ocampo, who absolutely fought no one, who's not a world level fighter, and who's not an interesting prospect? He's a complete tomato can. You can't compare records because it's all bullshit and nonsense. Terence Crawford is obviously being ducked by Errol Spence Jr. He's ready to make the fight in 2019. Let's see if Errol Spence Jr. is willing to make that same fight. Let's see if he opens up the door to that potential. Because Bob Arum is on record of stating that, hey, he wants to make that fight. He believes in Terence Crawford. He believes he's the best fighter in the world. Errol Spence Jr., after he fought Carlos Ocampo in Dallas earlier this year, made no mention of Terence Crawford in his post-fight interview. What the fuck is that? You can't even mention another champion. You won't say his name, but you'll mention the Sean Porter, you'll mention the Danny Garcias, and then you'll also state, oh, you know, these are all PBC fighters, Showtime fighters. These are all guys that I want to fight. Terence Crawford's on the other side of the street. But you would fight him in a heartbeat if he was Manny Pacquiao. Because you stated previously that you were open to a Manny Pacquiao fight. What the fuck is that? Do you understand? This is a hypocrisy that this man is stating just so he can duck Terence Bud Crawford. Fight fans, stay tuned. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.